Hi, my name is David P. Shapiro. I'm the owner and managing partner of the law office of David P. Shapiro, located in San Diego, California, where my firm helps good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. In this video, I want to talk to you about what's going on in Minneapolis with the Derek Chauvin sentencing. Currently now sentencing is set for June 25th, and some news broke the week of May 10th, particularly May 12th. We heard that the judge who presided over the trial made a decision about aggravating factors. So what does that really mean when it comes to sentencing? Well, as we know, Chauvin was convicted of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter for the killing of George Floyd back in May of 2020. Now, second-degree murder is the most serious of those charges, carries a max in Minnesota law of up to 40 years in prison. However, what was surprising to a lot of people after the verdicts were delivered was that the Minnesota guidelines, the sentencing guidelines, call for a sentence around like 12 and a half years if the defendant does not have a prior criminal record. And Chauvin did not prior to this case. So, there's a lot of talk about, well, is he going to get 12 years? Is he going to get closer to 40? And one of the key indicators of where the judge's mind is at is when the prosecution asks for these aggravating factors, which under Minnesota law, you could list a number of aggravating factors and basically say, this is why the court should go higher than what the guideline range calls for. And Judge Cahill in Minneapolis released a written statement, outlining the fact that 4 of the 5 aggravating factors that the prosecutor asked for, he actually agreed with were in fact aggravating factors. They were first that Chauvin abused a position of trust and authority, being that he was active law enforcement. We kind of knew that one was coming. Secondarily, that he acted with increased cruelty towards George Floyd. Obviously, we saw the video. We saw the man pleading for his life. We saw how Chauvin nonchalantly dealt with that. Third, that there were children present. Now, this is one that, is an aggravating factor, but, kind of a unique circumstance. It was on a street. Kids came to the scene afterwards. Obviously, nobody should have had to live through that. Certainly not George Floyd. Certainly not the bystanders, and certainly not the kids who were there as bystanders. I was a little, on the fence about that, whether or not that would qualify as an aggravating factor in this case because of the circumstances. And then the fourth aggravating factor that the court says they're going to find true is that Chauvin acted as part of a group. And that's really significant because we have these other officers who are ready to stand trial in state court in the summer in August of 2021. So, 4 of the 5 aggravating factors the prosecutor asked for, judge agreed. And what's even more interesting about this is, remember, back around the time of the verdicts, Chauvin waived his right to have a jury make these determinations. So a jury could have made those determinations whether or not these aggravating factors, 5 of them, 4 of them, 3 of them, 2 of them, however many that were going to be alleged, were in fact aggravating factors under Minnesota law. Chauvin waived that. I think part of the strategy there was that a judge may be less moved and by what was going on, easier said than done, but will be more inclined to follow the law, not necessarily have a decision swayed by emotion. And that was obviously Chauvin's defense attorney's fear, that if his client were to get convicted, then that same jury who would convict him of second-degree murder would probably rubber stamp any aggravating factor the prosecution would allege if it got that far. But because of that decision, now it's on Judge Cahill's desk, and Judge Cahill agreed that 4 of the 5 factors were aggravating. Now, how much that gets the sentence from the presumptive, 12 and a half year to 40 is a whole other issue. We're going to have to find out, see what happens end of June, or if the sentencing gets continued again. Me personally, I think it probably gets him somewhere in the 20-year range now, which is a significant sentence. By comparison, in California, second-degree murder is 15 to life unless there's a weapon used, right? So unless there's a knife used or a gun used. So, although Minnesota would be a determinate sentence, which means Chauvin would know that as long as he lives through the sentence, he would get out after he accumulating his custody credits and everything that Minnesota law provides for. California, it's worth noting, it would be a 15 to life sentence. So in many ways, the first number that Chauvin sees may have a 2 in front of it, may have a 3 in front of it, maybe a 20, 30 some odd year sentence. It'd actually be more than what you would get in California, at least before you're parole eligible. So something to keep in mind looking ahead with the Chauvin sentencing coming up, currently set now for June 25th, 2021. Stay tuned to the YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Twitter at DP Shapiro, where I'll be tweeting some articles and media appearances that I make on the Chauvin trial, on the Chauvin sentencing. And if you have obviously any questions feel free, you can always reach out to our firm at 619 295 3555.